focus is that we really need a large amount of information to confidently learn the connections between genes in the network so that we could map it. And we don't always have that. So for rare disease or diseases affecting clinically inaccessible tissues, like much of cardiovascular disease that affects the heart and large vessels, we don't have all of this large scale data. However, there was really a rapid expansion in the amount of data we have from human tissues more broadly during the time that I was gearing up to do my postdoc, because of the innovations and sequencing technologies that allow us to sequence single cells and identify the levels at which all the genes are activated in the whole genome in each of these single cells throughout the cells of the body. And at the same time, there had really been a revolution in natural language processing and AI in using these really large scale general data sets to train foundational models that have a basic understanding of the learning domain, in that case, natural language, that could then be used to make predictions in a vast array of downstream tasks, even with just very limited data for that particular task. So it was my question of whether we could take advantage of all this large scale data that's now been generated in biological realms to be able to train a foundational model for biology, where we could learn from all the different tissues in the body that we do have data from, and then apply that information learned by the model that's from that foundational training to a vast array of downstream applications. And so that's where I developed Geneformer during my postdoc. And the approach worked very well to be able to gain this foundational knowledge, even without telling the model about which genes, which function each gene had. It learned on its own which ones were key regulators within cells. It also was able to predict a novel regulator in heart muscle cells despite decades of research in those cells, and also predict novel therapeutic targets for a type of heart disease that affects the heart muscle, cardiomyopathy. And we found that those predictions, when we tested them in cells, had a true impact on making the cells beat more strongly and reversing the disease phenotype. And so we're very excited about this model, and now we're continuing to build upon that in my lab now.